Quick video. I wanted to do a quick video because our children are in danger of pure, utter quackery. Whether or not they're mutilated, well, that is pure quackery, or not. Even if they're protected by their parents, they are still in danger of abuse by these quacks. These quacks are so uneducated; they do not know the natural development of the preputial foreskin and human penis. They do not know the natural development. That's like not knowing, I don't know, how your eyes grow. And I mean, it's unbelievable that these doctors don't know this. They are force retracting babies. Okay? So I'm going to read this comment section here, and you'll get most of the gist of why this is really important. This is Miss Stephanie Frey. We had to get my sons done. Oh, I guess that should be apostrophe. Because his skin kept fusing together regardless of us cleaning it at every diaper change. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what that means? She was force retracting it. This is, I mean, cleaning at every diaper change. I mean, it's unbelievable. Whatever. Okay, yeah. So if you know force retraction is wrong, this should shock you. That this is still being done in 2025. The doctors don't even know their own. I mean, the AAP came out with intact, care about not force retracting. The doctors don't even know their own pediatric organization's position on force retraction. It's unbelievable that the doctors don't even know the natural development of the human genitalia. I mean, how unbelievable is that? They're supposed to know every. I mean, when I took my pre-med courses, you learn chemistry, because chemistry is the makeup of the body, right? So you have to learn like how hydrogen and helium and all these elements in the periodic table. You have to know all of the details of every little, even the foundational principles of medicine. Is chemistry and biology, basic biology, and all these things that you have to take in order to get to a level where you can understand to be a doctor, right? Yet they do not know the most simple facts about human penile development, because we are a genital mutilation culture and we are scared of the facts because the facts are not look good for us. They are an indictment against our entire culture of child abusers, of extreme child abusers. Okay, so at least Letsy 25 has a little bit of knowledge and is informing, but still, even she is incorrect. The foreskin is supposed to be fused for the first bit of infancy. 10 years of age is the average age of retraction. That's way beyond infancy. Way beyond infancy. So yeah, anyways, we're gonna get into that in a second. It's supposed to be fused over so my son can't pee and gets bladder infections that lead to kidney infections. Interesting. His pediatrician said otherwise. My God, lady, your pediatrician doesn't know what he's talking about. He does not know the balano prepubital lamina. He doesn't know that the average age of retraction is 10 plus years, up to 18 and 22 being normal, completely functionally normal. This is unbelievable. No, it doesn't fuse over the top so your urethra is closed, lady. It fuses the balano prepubital lamina. It fuses the foreskin to the glands, and it has an opening for the urethra to pee, lady. And then you throw in there to get kidney infections. The excuses that these doctors use to bolster it up, they make it sound like if you get a UTI, you're going to get kidney damage and kidney failure. It's absolutely unfathomable how ridiculous these quacks are. So your pediatrician doesn't know what he's talking about, Miss Stephanie Frey. And it's sad that you can't even get on and do a Google search on this stuff. You should know, as a mother of intact boys, intact boy, who was intact. At least you had the initial instincts correctly, but you didn't realize how extensive the quackery was. And you were probably told to do this by the doctors. So I can't even really blame you, except the fact that, you should have done your own research and you needed a second opinion. You had no idea that the doctors didn't know basic information, but they don't. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm making this video. So Hannah Martin 4791 says premature retraction often causes that. Exactly. Don't Dirk Stiles says, your son may be suffering phimosis, which can pose risk for infection of the glans, penis, as well as urinary tract infections. Oh no, say it ain't so. Is a very common occurrence with foreskin. I mean, that damaging, harmful tissue that we have to cut off babies. You know, screw natural selection and basic biology that all of us learned in fifth grade. In fifth grade, 5,488 mammal species have the tissue. How is it so common? It's 10 times more 10 times more common in females. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's not a very common occurrence. Less than 2% of men, 1% will ever have a UTI in their entire life, foreskin or no. Europe, the first year of life, which the supposed benefit is supposed to be for, because it certainly doesn't benefit you the rest of your life, the supposed benefit is for the first year of a child's life. This was done, the studies were done on force retracted children who were premature. Those are 2 risk factors for UTIs. So of course the uncircumcised boys had more UTIs. They were being force retracted, breaking the ballon of prepubital lamina, which is a break in the integumentary system, which allows debris to get into the system and can cause infections. So a bacterial overgrowth caused by force retraction causes the UTIs. This is simple sense, common sense. Anyways, it's not very common. It's very rare. This is just the level of brainwashing that our society suffers from and why these children are in danger of this outright nonsense, this full-on quackery. The prevalence of the condition is one of the reasons why circumcision was invented. No, it's not, Dirk. Dirky Dirk. It's always the people who have never done no research. This was started as an anti-masturbation campaign in the 1870s when it was believed that sin was the cause of all diseases. Little boys and girls caught masturbating were punished with genital mutilation. Girls had their external clitorises burned off with carbolic acid. Boys were circumcised with no anesthesia as a punishment. Okay? That had nothing to do with UTIs. Nothing to do with UTIs. This was never even attributed to UTIs till almost a half a century or 3/4 of a century later. But from when it was started. I mean, it's just nonsense. This is a post hoc justification for a mutilation that is really a cure in search of a disease. And it's not a cure. It's a damage. It's a harm. It's just absolutely ridiculous that we live in this society that this is this backwards. This is Mrs. Stephanie Frey. Retraction couldn't be done. You're not supposed to retract babies, lady. My son had phimosis. No, he didn't. He had physiological phimosis, which is a normal stage that every boy goes through. He had a normal development, and your doctors were so uneducated that pedoatrician that you talked about didn't know what he was doing, and basically lied to you, and then fear-mongered you with saying that it had something to do with kidney infections and would kill your kidneys and all this nonsense. His foreskin was literally fused together over the pee hole. No, it wasn't. They cut it and they were told to follow steps to keep it from real stealing, which didn't matter because it was so bad that overnight it would already start again. If you weren't trying to force retraction, this would have never happened. So maybe, just maybe, doctors who know what they're talking about actually know what they're talking about. Oh, my God. My God, my God, my God, my God, my God, my God. Are you... It's always the ones who are so pompous with their ineptitude and their wrongness who think they are so superior when you are literally completely uneducated to the point where your doctors do not know fundamental human anatomy and development. Oh my God. I said, you don't have a clue, do you? Why do you act like you do? Phimosis is caused by quacks, force retraction babies, and is easily fixed with without mutilation. Yeah, I forgot the without. For $19, Google PhimoCure, phimocure.net. Go look it up. Cures 100% of non-lichen sclerosis phimosis. And stop spreading myths that hurt children. These are all myths. It's supposed to be, lady. So I'm talking about how she says it's healed up. You are harming your son. Do your research, lady. What the fuck? Gairdner's error. Now here's what I'm going to give you the knowledge right here. Gairdner's error concerns the erroneous notion popularized by... I may have read this to you before in a previous video. If you have, just fast forward through this part. But this is very important. popularized by British pediatrician Douglas Gairdner in 1949, that an intact boy's foreskin should be fully retractable by age 2 to 3. Gairdner was grossly in error, as Europeans and better educated American physicians know. Modern research, multiple times since 1968, shows that the actual mean age for natural, normal, expected, non-traumatic foreskin retraction is 10 plus years, and even late puberty is no indication of pathology. That's Neonatology. I'm sorry, that was not Neonatology. I'm going to read from you Neonatology. No, that is Neonatology. My God. Okay, here we're going to go to Robertson's textbook of Neonatology. Forcible retraction of the foreskin tends to produce tears in the prepubertal orifice, resulting in scarring that may lead to pathological, i.e. in this case, iatrogenic, or physician-induced phimosis. They are literally taking physiological phimosis and turning it into real life phimosis, which then the male suffers from. And then they're recommending this extreme surgery, this amputation, which is like cutting off your foot for a hangnail. Okay, I've had 3 or 4 hangnails removed from my foot. Very, very painful. This would be like, hey, sorry, Dan, we got to cut off your foot because, we got to prevent those hangnails. And, you've already had 3 or 4 of them. We might as well just fix it. You know what I mean? That's the level of intelligence that's going into this. Okay, forcible retraction in infancy tears the tissue at the tip of the foreskin. It's not the tip, it covers the whole glands, causing scarring, and is the commonest cause of genuine phimosis later in life. That's Robertson's textbook of neonatology. Okay, to appreciate the scale of the error, consider its equivalent in women. It would be as if doctors had decided that the intact hymen, in fact, an intact infant girl, was a congenital defect known as imperforate hymen, arising from arrested development, and hence needed to be artificially broken in order to allow the interior of the vagina to be washed out regularly to ensure hygiene. The internal of the vagina is completely self-cleaning, and so is the foreskin when it's fused to the glands. It is completely taken care of. Nothing needs to be done. No retraction needs to be done. And when you retract it, it will try to adhere itself back together because it is scarring. You are scarring, then you lead to actual real life phimosis. And then that is the epidemic of why you hear all these men in America saying we got to be circumcised. According to Psychology Today, 43% of intact men in America were force retracted as babies, leading to an epidemic of phimosis in America, which is the number one cause of adult circumcision in America. Okay. That last thing I read was from Dr. Robert Darby, A Surgical Temptation, The Demonization of the Foreskin, The Rise of Circumcision in Britain, from the University of Chicago Press, 2005, 235, page 235. This is an article on Psychology Today. You can read, Dr. Ignorance of Male Anatomy Injures Boys. What you can do to protect boys from medical interference. 43% of intact men in America are victims of forced retraction injuries by doctors. You can go to tinyurl.com/MVW7UHU. So, stop forced retracting babies. This is a danger to our children. We are creating phimosis. We are creating infections. I mean, your child is more likely to get a kidney infection caused by forced retraction doctors than he is to ever have a normal foreskin and get a kidney infection from it, from a UTI. It's just absolute quackery. This is a post hoc justification for a 1870s mutilation for an anti-masturbation campaign from the 1870s by doctors who believe that sin was the cause of all diseases. These are all just excuses to mutilate babies. So this lady, I'm so sorry, Stephanie Frey, that you were lied to and you tried to do the right thing. You tried so hard to do the right thing, but then you got to grow up and you got to stop this nonsense of purveying these false myths that hurt children. You just got to stop it. Thank you.